Hello, my name is Leora from Texas, and I will be reading Ruby's Praise Report. Witness with our very own eyes. Today's promise. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22. Dear brides, I would like to share with you something that happened this past weekend. It was a situation that showed the children and I that His word is truth. We went to watch my godson's college football game. It was a frustrating game. Our team was not doing too well, making a lot of mistakes, and the coaches seemed to not be making the best decisions. The crowd of fans were frustrated and unhappy. It was a tight score at the end, so the game went into overtime. After double overtime, our team failed to score, so we lost. As the opposing team exited the field, they started to taunt the players and the crowd of fans. There were some people who argued, yelled back, and condemned them for their actions. But in doing so, their words and actions became just as bad. As we exited the stadium towards the gate, there was the opposing team and coaches, making their way to the locker rooms, still shouting, being quite rude and arrogant, and showing no sportsmanship. The people in the stands behind us were still shouting and very upset, still stuck in the same place, not only physically but emotionally as well. There was even a player that walked up to an older man in a threatening way. Things were negatively escalating. I don't know what was said, but whatever the words from the older man were, seemed to calm the player down, as I could see it in his face. There was another, more elderly man that was walking up to the winning players to shake their hands, congratulating them and telling them they played a very good game. This changed the behavior of the players. Immediately I could see the face of each one of them change. They even replied with an apology for this behavior. The children and I witnessed with our very own eyes our Lord's words come to life. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 24. I was so amazed at what my love showed us, and I was happy to speak to the kids about it. The people in the stands that decided to react with anger, repaying evil with evil, received no resolution, no peace, and probably stayed angry long after leaving the stadium. But we see the elderly that showed loving kindness even when the players' words and behavior were rude, arrogant, and hateful, brought about such peace, kindness, forgiveness, and changed the situation in an instant. Immediately you could see the faces change, the words changed, and they apologized. It was amazing to witness. These people were yelling on the top of their lungs, and yet they were not heard. I couldn't tell you what their words were, but the elderly that spoke so softly and kindly, even facing away from us as we were walking in the same direction, I could hear every word through all the yelling that was around us, and so did the players. Their words penetrated hearts. We also spoke about being lukewarm. There are some that show hate, some that show love, and some that show nothing. Showing nothing is still not showing God's love, like the elderly man did. There are a lot of lukewarm Christians, but not enough people that will speak and show God's love when they can. My daughter asked about walking away and avoiding the situation. I told her that we are all not called to do the same thing. That man was called to speak up and show God's love in the way that he did, because he would be the perfect man to show these young men an example of being a wise and kind gentleman. Us as women were not called to do that, but we could still show God's love by always having kindness in our hearts and a smile on our face to everyone. We must follow God's leading on what He calls us to do individually. That is why it's so important to have an individual relationship with Him, because He has a plan and a purpose for each of us that is different than He has for others. I was excited to see this happen and talk about it with the children. I absolutely love when my Heavenly Husband shows up. I love to see Him in action. His love is so powerful. His word is so true. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 24. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22. There is one who speaks rashly, like thrusts of a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. Keeping away from strife is an honor for a man, but any fool will quarrel. Matthew chapter 5, verse 25. Agree with your adversaries quickly. Matthew chapter 5, verse 25, especially when they are angry. The principles and scriptures in this ministry are truth. I am grateful to have found this ministry that has taught me these principles and led me to the truth in the Bible. I was blind, but now I see the way of my loving Lord and my true love right before my eyes. I pray, my love, that our children can also see you and have an individual, intimate relationship with you, to know you in such a way that they can hear your calling to show your love to others. Help me to teach these principles and your word to our children and others by planting a seed of your truth in their hearts. Grant me the courage to act when you call me to.